You know, today's going to be of all days where something's going to happen as soon as we're done in the next hour, right?
Oh, I have my phone right next to me. I'm ready.
Okay, good. So I'll roll
I'm
on.
ready
Go
for
on.
anything. I'm ready for anything today.
Oh boy, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's another beautiful, not so beautiful Monday, June 30th, one day before free agency and officially summer, I think, for a lot of people as well. A bit of a longer weekend for us Canadians, being July 1st tomorrow. Happy early Canada Day for everybody, and July 4th as well too for our friendly Americans, including Mr. Neil himself.
Yep.
We got so much shit to get into today, man. There's a lot that's been going down. I'm actually really curious to hear what your thoughts were on the draft and like
Hmm.
winners and losers and all that.
Yeah.
So, all good though on your end. Yeah, good weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a good weekend. Like you said, it's the end of June, and we finally are into the time of the year that a lot of us hockey fans kind of crave for once the last game of the Stanley Cup Finals rolls around with the draft and then free agency. And then unfortunately, after about a week, it'll die off and then we'll be back to having very
Uh,
little to nothing
Nothing.
talking about.
So recap, next Monday is going to be our last live episode, at least until September. I'm going to be rolling out some little recordings every Monday between now and the end of August. So this will be our second last one before the summer ends. But you'll still get some content over the summer, which is nice. And I heard you were you on the Dean's list, did I read, for William
Yeah,
Anderson?
I got on the dean's list
That's
for
awesome.
thank you for the spring semester. So I was on the dean's list in the fall semester and then the spring. So the entire last full year that I was in college, I was on the dean's list, which is really awesome. So
That's sick.
thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was
That's
fun.
awesome.
And I also was just recently on a podcast called Voices in the Game, which was really fun. Got to kind of talk about the network a little bit, my journey as well, which was a lot of fun. And other than that, just kind of getting ready. The here on the Devils side, their development camp started today, so I've been kind of keeping tabs on that. I don't know when
Yeah. I
the
saw your
Flames.
tweet saying that like 35 minutes before they were starting development camp, they didn't have a
Yeah,
roster,
they
right?
they didn't show us the roster until the players got on the ice. So I don't know if that was just kind of making sure that everybody that they expected to be on the ice was there. I
Yes.
don't know what took them necessarily so long, but it doesn't really matter. It's just development camp, which is always a fun time. I think it's one of my favorite times of the year because of the fact that you get to see a lot of guys that in the next 2 or 3 years could very well be on the team, and you kind of get a first glimpse of some guys that you've been talking about a lot. I don't know if the Flames. I don't know. Did they announce when their development camp is?
It's soon. I know it's this week.
Sometime this
I
week.
might
Okay.
have missed it, but I believe it's this week at some point.
Because I
Yeah.
think I think for most teams that's usually how it goes. Like two or
Yeah,
three
I think
days
so.
after the draft, they jump right into development camp, which is good.
Sweet.
Um,
All
and
right.
then and that's pretty much it. So yeah,
Cool.
I'm
Well,
really glad I didn't watch the draft. I'm going to be very honest with you.
oh my God.
For
So
what
we
I
were so you know what was funny is we were live. Myself, thank you, shout out Bill and Scott from
mm,
Orange and Backcheck for joining. They were so much fun actually for the whole actually, as I say that, I'm surprised. They're always fun to do it. But literally we went 20 picks deep and we were like, screw this, we're done. Like we
yeah,
ended it after 20 picks because it was so it man, that was so awkward.
yeah,
Like that friggin' call in the back room. It's like it was ridiculous because they had it. The setup I actually liked, you know, and okay, you get the players. They come out like still they still get that. But it was the second that they walked back to that stupid hockey house room with the
yeah,
video call, and I'm like, go to like you or like just wait until you call in the back and just send talk to them that way.
right.
It's so awkward. So awkward.
It's kind of I think overall was really disappointing because you look at how things were last year in Vegas in the Sphere, and I thought that they did a great job with that. I thought the setup was great. I thought the overall flow of it was great. This year felt like a major step back. Now I know that there was a report that came out that like 26 teams said that they wanted this decentralized draft.
The
and the
war
NHL's
room
trying to
type, yeah.
the NHL's trying to say like, look, it wasn't our call. It was, the teams wanted it. I don't I don't
They
fully buy
they
that.
in the mirror then after that.
Yeah, I don't fully buy that completely. I think it's something that they wanted to try to see what would happen.
Yeah.
But I think it might have even been Kevin Adams that might have said it from Buffalo, saying that like it's just much harder to make any sort of trades when you're not able to just get up and go and tap someone on the shoulder and just get a deal done right then and there.
Yeah.
Whereas you have to call and you have to do all that. And that's why I think when there was a lot of rumblings, which every year at the draft,
There
there's
always is
a massive amounts of nonsense rumblings that happen.
too much.
Um, you know, I think we were hoping that maybe we'd get some action, but other than John Gibson being traded to Detroit, we didn't get anything. And I mean,
Couple of
it's
first round
fine.
surprising picks, so like Pittsburgh backs off from Philly and all that. Before we get more into the draft, though, something that happened actually before really it came to surface during the draft, but it actually was finalized before the draft began. Was Kevin Ball. So Mr. Kevin Ball signs a 6-year, $32.1 million contract. For those of you wondering, it is a $5.35 million AAV. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he has a 8-team no trade list from years 3 through 6. He has a a signing bonus in year 1, and the rest of it again is at a $5.35 million AAV. Now, I had him around 4.5, 4.8 in that ballpark.
Hmm.
Um, I don't mind going a little bit over because of the player who he is. I just love the fans that were online. Like, who is this guy? What an overpay. And I'm like, clearly these people don't watch Flames hockey.
Sure.
Um, Neil, he was your guy first.
Yeah.
Ball signs, 6 years, 5.35 mil. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think when you look at it first glance, yeah, you can definitely make an argument that it might be an overpay. But I think more than anything, what it shows is just where the salary cap is going, and that we're going to have to get used to guys getting more deals like this, even if they may not fully show that they quote unquote deserve that much over 6 years. But with the salary cap going up, you can make deals like this that end up in the long run looking a lot better than what you might have to look for on the free agency market when we already talk about teams having to overpay. As the cap goes up, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Like it's not going to get any better. I think what's important here for both Kevin Ball and the Flames is that they locked him down. I think there was definitely mutual interest there. I think Ball wanted to find a place where he could be and kind of settle with his family after being dealt last year from New Jersey. And I think that considering he started the year hurt, wasn't playing right away, and then came in and honestly, like as it shows here, had a career year in
Mhm.
terms of points and overall production. I think he earned this contract. So I'm happy for him and I'm happy for the Flames that they're locking down that defensive core because I think it's really important for them overall to get it going. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Ball can continue to do with this Flames team moving forward. So I think overall, good business. Yeah, the contract looks a little steep. But again, I think it's a combination of the way the world is right now with these contracts, with the salary cap going up.
Mhm.
But I also think that this contract is not going to hinder the Flames in the present nor in the future in terms of making other moves either.
It's going to have good value the latter half of this contract, right?
Right.
Because with it continuing to rise, right? You're really looking at like a $3.5 million contract come years 3 and 4 at the time.
Sure.
So yeah, yes, you're quote unquote paying for it, but I don't mind if we have to keep this player and if their numbers started around 4.5 and this is kind of where they see it. Um, I don't really have a big issue with it. I personally don't think it's an overpay, to be honest. I think, it looks that way. I can see why.
Mhm.
But again, the way that it's structured, like you mentioned, isn't going to appear that way. I think what I love about having him long term is that he was a big reason last year why the Flames were winning a lot of games, low scoring, and having that defensive type performance, because he is their, if you really think about it, he's their number one guy when it comes to shut down defensemen, right?
Right.
And, Kevin's only 24 years old, right? So by the time that this contract is up, he's going to be 30, 31, something like that. So
Hmm.
you're getting Kevin Ball within the prime of his years. And to me at least, he's only getting better, right?
Right.
And I don't want to use the word struggled when he was in New Jersey. I think he just maybe had trouble finding his footing there.
I mean, I could
If
I
you
could
want to
kind of
say that,
elaborate. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on
sure.
that a little bit. I think when Ball first came over to New Jersey, and people forget he was part. This is the second trade he was a part of, because the
Right.
first trade he was a part of was the Taylor Hall trade that sent Hall to Arizona, and Ball and several other assets to New Jersey. I think Ball. I think the big thing for him was that he came in as he described it, an offensive defenseman, and I think it took him time to kind of figure out how to be more of that shutdown defensive defenseman and using his big body. I always felt that at times in New Jersey he wasn't using it correctly. Maybe that was how Lindy Ruff was coaching him. Maybe it was just him not feeling fully comfortable with it. But I think overall, with Kevin Ball, I think it's just more of that. If he can continue to get acclimated with his body type, being 6'6" and over 200 pounds, and being able to be that physical shutdown defenseman, I think that goes a long way for him. Not saying he can't put up points. He just did this year with 20,
Mhm.
which is good considering the player that he is. Um, I just think he just needed to get more into his strong suit of his game. I think that's really where it comes from. And I think Huska let him do exactly what he wanted to do, and it's worked out. So I think it's just really a coaching thing for Ball. I think he just found a coach that kind of gets him a little bit more with the type of player that he is.
And expanding on it further, it's going to set up Zane Parekh so well for his game going,
Oh yeah,
eventually coming out of camp and whenever he decides to join the team, or excuse me, if he makes the team. Um, because you have Ball at the left side, you have Parekh there on the right. I think what's going to end up happening here, and we're going to get into it with the Andersson talk coming up soon here,
yeah,
is the way that we're seeing it right now is Mackenzie Weegar is going to be on that top line on the right side. I think what the Flames need to do is they're more than likely going out there at the free agent market and looking at a top left shot defenseman, right?
yeah,
I really believe they need Kevin Ball to stick with Zane Parekh. And the reason for that is because with Kevin Ball being that defensive defenseman type player, we're using his big body, shutting down 2-on-1 rushes, and really playing really well in the corner as well, too.
sure,
Um, it really is going to expand. It's going to allow Zane Parekh to kind of mold into his game a bit more of being that offensive type defenseman. You saw the amount of points that he put up there in the OHL, and the reason why he's taught it to be the next generational Makar. I don't know if you want to put it that way,
yeah,
but the next really good offensive defenseman coming up in the NHL. So it's going to suit him so well, and it's going to allow him to be so much more comfortable knowing that Kevin Ball is playing that role, and ultimately he absolutely deserved this contract. So
yeah.
I really don't have an issue with it. I think it was pretty fair on both sides. And if you want to look at it by the money, I mean, it's gonna show its value. And I think a couple of years from now, and we can only see better things from Ball going forward.
And I think, and I know that these are different types of defensemen, but I think when you look at some of the contracts that have been thrown out the last couple of days, including today with Noah Dobson being traded from the Islanders and then signing that 8-year deal in Montreal, and then you see the Alexander Romanov signing today. The thing about it is that, like, I think that this is one of those moves for Calgary where you're going to look at it and say this was good value.
Mhm.
This is a guy that's going to work out in terms of having a very favorable contract where you're not going to have to worry about it, even in the latter half of the contract, like you mentioned before. So I think, again, overall, it was good business by um by the Flames to do this and kind of get the offseason kind of rolling a little bit more here.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on. Let's take a look at the draft, and we'll see who we like, who we don't like particularly, and how this draft went overall. But based on what we've been hearing from a lot of general managers, a lot of scouts,
Mhm.
the insiders as well too. It's that the Flames once again had a very good draft this year. So
Mhm.
it was getting a little nerve wracking going into the latter half of that first round because all of a sudden these centermen started to get taken. Braden Coots goes to Vancouver. I was really worried about the Islanders with their back-to-back pick after the Noah Dobson deal that, they start with Matthew Schaefer, right, being number one.
Yep.
For some reason, Victor Eklund is still on the board, which they go with. After that, I really believe they were going to go with another centerman, but instead they go and get Kayshawn Atchison. And that left the door open
Yeah.
for Mr. Cole Reshny. So he was the 18th overall pick. Victoria Royals in the WHL, left shotter, 5'10", 187 pounds. He had 26 goals and 66 assists in 62 games. And then the Flames ended their first round with Cullen Potter from Arizona State University. From what we've heard, he is the fastest skater in this draft. He's only 17 years old, turning 18 in October. On the smaller side of things, but he had 13 goals, 9 assists in 35 games as a 17-year-old in Division I NCAA. And then really quick here, just going down the list here, second round pick goes to Theo Stocksilius out of the Junior 20 National League there in Sweden. Big centerman, 6'3", 22 goals, 29 assists in 40 games. Then they go with Mako Phillips, big defenseman there, left shot defenseman out of the U.S. National Development Team. They then go with Ethan Whitenbach from the Sioux Falls Stampede of the USHL. This is another, I believe, centerman that they're stockpiling the centers here. Aiden Lane, right winger there at St. Andrews College. Jacob Leander, excuse me.
Leander.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Had the SHL from Sweden as well. And then Jan Matvico. This was a 7th round trade that the Flames actually traded up for to select the left-handed winger out of the Red Army in the MHL. Okay, so Neil,
The Red Army.
we love the Red Army. You mentioned before we jumped on here
Mhm.
about Aiden Lane being the most kind of like the better prospect here, I guess, for the Flames. Care to explain why? Or I wouldn't,
Well,
oh, like
hold on.
exciting
I wouldn't
prospect,
say that
exciting,
that was no, no,
exciting.
no. I'm not going to sit here and say that that was the best pick
Yeah, okay,
of
but exciting to
that the
watch.
Flames made. I'm just saying that that was my favorite pick because of the fact that Lane is such a wild card when going into this draft because you look at where he was playing and you say to yourself, well, what type of level of play, what type of level of hockey is he really dealing with on a game to game basis? But I had an opportunity to actually watch a little bit of film on him from what I could gather on Twitter. And I think I might have found something on YouTube, maybe a clip or two of him. This kid has a lot of untapped scoring potential. And I say that with the fact that he also had 34 goals and a grand total of 86 points this past year. That was
Yeah,
and again, as they show here, in 55 games. Regardless of where you're playing, in my opinion, Kyle, that's still very good. Also, he's actually one of the bigger offensive players that the Flames drafted this year, which tells you a lot. And this kid is only 18 years of age. My point is that with the speed that he can bring, with that wrist shot that he has great success with, I believe that the Flames may have, if they develop him correctly, may have found a gem in the late rounds here.
okay.
I think he should have gone. I think that Lane should have gone a lot sooner than he did, but that's to the benefit of the Flames. And I think what I always love about the rounds between 4 and 7, Kyle, is that everybody's board is different. Everybody's evaluation of players is different. So really, it's all about kind of not even throwing a dart at a board and hopefully you get it right. It's about what you think that this kid can be and what you could do if you develop him correctly. And
Mhm.
that's what I think that's what I believe the Flames looked at when they saw Aiden Lane was available there at pick 176.
Okay.
Is that low risk, very high reward move. But it's going to be a combination of this kid continuing to stay at this level of play and be aggressive offensively, but also the Flames developing him, allowing him to be the player that he is. I think overall, I would like to see him play at a higher level, which I think he probably will very soon. I don't know
Potentially
if he's
playing D1 in the NCAA. I mean, he
and that
played
right there,
college
and
for
you're
St.
going
Andrews.
from
Yeah.
what? You're going from what? AAA hockey to playing D1 hockey. That's going to be a big jump for him.
Yeah.
And that's going to be somebody you're going to want to keep your eye on going into next year. Hopefully he's at development camp. I'd like to see more of this kid play a little bit. But I'm really excited about him, Kyle. I just there's something it's a little hard to explain, but there's just something about him as a player that I really like offensively. I think he could be a really he reminds me of Matthew Coronado in a way, a little bit in terms of the guy has a really good
Interesting.
wrist shot. He
Okay.
can be that productive offensive player, but I think Lane could end up being a bit better than what Coronado is right now. And I think that
Wow.
Flames fans should definitely be excited about his potential. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm
No,
just
but
saying
it's just
that I
gonna.
really like that pick the best.
Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating.
So,
And good to know because I haven't seen a lot of footage on Aiden Lane. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it and you're right. Like if you properly do it correctly here, considering he's an 18-year-old and it's a pet project. It's like for a
right.
lot of these guys, as we know, right? It's about a 3-year project here with him. Um, it's something that could become of high value, right? Depending on where you see Coronado in the lineup coming up. Like, who knows? We don't know what it looks
Right.
like 3 years from now, but they're really stocking up here for when they do open up that new building in 2 to 3 years' time now, which is exciting. I really had my eye on Cullen Porter there at
Mm,
32. Um, you talk about, I mean, the first one really quickly we want to touch upon though is Cole Reshney here. Um, Somebody that the
ooh,
Flames should be happy that they fell to there at 18 and they were lucky to get him there. But
right.
they get their centerman. They get a guy who's a really good playmaker, who's really good at abling to not only be productive for a goal scorer here, but he's able to make up some really good slot passes too in high danger areas. Just from what I've seen from footage.
Hmm.
So really happy about the fact that we've got Cole Reshney. And again, it's something that's going to take time to develop.
Yeah.
There's to me something about this Cullen Potter kid. I really, really like him a lot. And I
Hmm.
was watching some of his footage of his time at Arizona State. My God, this kid is fast. And
Yeah.
he's only like the crazy thing for me is that he's only 17 years old. He's gonna be 18 in October, I think they
Hmm.
said. And that he is so ridiculously quick. And that's something I really love because what I noticed this year too, Neil, a lot of the times is that I don't know if the Flames were the best team off the rush this year.
I think we could. I think that's a safe bet to say that.
Right. Um, but now it's like, again, you're gonna have some time here being a left winger, which I think was important too,
Yeah.
is that he could be a really good steal. And it's funny when they were getting into the like closer to the 32nd pick, I go, man, Malcolm Spence is still sitting on the board. This Rybakin kid out of Russia, he was probably touted as a boom or a bust type guy.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy they went the way. And also, too, the Flames actually tried to trade up in the draft from 32 in
They
order to
did.
select Colin Potter. But
Hmm.
they were lucky enough that he fell right to their lap, basically. And
Right.
that was amazing in itself. So they were really lucky to have that. So I'm just excited for how fast he is. Like the speed is unmatched. He's only 5'10. He's a short kid, but he's gonna get again. He's another guy that's gonna play in the NCAA coming up in D1. So
Sure.
it's just gonna take again 3 years or so to see how he develops. But I am really looking forward to seeing what this kid can do.
Yeah. I know. Again, another. I think the Flames did a good job of taking value at the picks that they had and really
Yes.
just kind of letting the draft kind of fall the way, however it was going to fall. And I think for them, the fact that they were still able to get Cullen Potter without having to move up, I think is huge for them. So I think overall in this draft, I think the Flames can look at this and say we have a huge amount of good prospects for the future. A lot of
Yeah.
guys that, if developed correctly, could be huge boom type of players that could come in the next 2 or 3 years and really, really shape this Flames team offensively, which is going to be an important thing to work on moving forward if this Flames team is going to want to take another step towards being a playoff and eventual Stanley Cup contender. Um, I did want to give some credit to another team in this draft
Sure.
that I felt had the best draft of any team overall, and that's the San Jose Sharks. I really, really like what they did, especially with their first 4 picks. I mean, you take Michael Misa, who I think is going to end up potentially being the best player in this draft, just from a pure
Sure.
talent standpoint. And they went with Joshua Ravensbergen,
Yeah.
that goaltender. And I don't know why I liked that. I mean, now they have 2 legitimate potential top flight goaltenders in Ravensburger and Askarov moving forward, which is massive because they certainly need that stability in net. But the Sharks did make a little bit of history, Kyle. I don't know if you know
Okay.
what they did. They
I'm all
took,
yours.
I'm going to say his name wrong. I might butcher it. Well, actually, his American name is Simon. So Simon Wang or
Yeah. Yeah.
Yaxi
Yeah.
Wang,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe
That's
it is.
right.
He is the highest drafted Chinese-born player in NHL history. 6'6", 222 pounds at 18 years of age as a defenseman.
Wow.
And they took Cole McKinney as well from the U.S. National
One
Development
pick
Team.
away. They
I
were
know.
one pick
I
away
know.
from getting
That's when I
Cole.
knew the
Oh,
Sharks. I accepted that the Sharks were going to win the draft once they got Cole McKinney. Everything else they did, which I like, don't get me wrong, is great. But like, they say I think I heard it like the future is teal, which is hilarious. That's a great
yeah.
slogan for them. I'm very jealous of what you know Greer and those boys in San Jose have done because they really hit the nail on the head. And I think my loser of the draft probably is, I'm going to say Toronto, because
Okay.
with the few picks that they really had, you had to really hit home runs, which granted, again, we'll decide this in 3 years or so, but it didn't seem like to me that Brad Tree Living was like fully invested in the draft. I mean, I get it considering what the Leafs are trying to do, but yeah,
Upcoming. Yes.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest loser is probably all of us fans who had to sit and endure
I agree.
4+ hours of whatever the hell that first round was.
So I'm gonna go. I agree with San Jose, and I'll agree with the Leafs being your loser there. So I'm gonna go my winner. Probably, I'm gonna take the home run pick here and say that the Islanders were winners. You not only get you get rid of Dobson, who didn't want to be there, which was unfortunate, but you get Matthew Schaefer at number 1. You also get Victor Eklund, who fell that far, and we all kind of thought that the way that Pittsburgh picked at 12 and 13 and traded their 13th pick down, that was going to be the route that the Islanders were going to take, but they didn't have to because there were such key guys on the board still in Kayshawn Atchison and Victor Eklund. So to keep those guys around, and then further on, I just thought with those first 3 picks, like it was just home run after home run there for the Islanders. So I think they were big winners to me on draft night.
They had all this good feeling, and then they go back and they sign Romanoff to the contract that he signed today.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
did Lou Lamoriello ever really leave? It's kind of like
No,
I don't like.
we're talking the draft, right?
I know. I'm just saying, because it's very fresh
Yeah,
because it only happened like an hour ago,
it's
and
true.
I'm just saying, you sign Romanoff to a contract that is $3 million more than what Dobson's making right now. So
Yes.
that's kind of the thing. I'm like, I guess Dobson really just didn't want to be on the island anymore, which is fine. But I don't know. I don't like. Maybe it'll work out for the Islanders, but
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad Kevin Ball is only signed for $5+ million per year over the next 6.
Yeah, and I would say my loser is, it's a tough one, but I'm gonna go. I don't know. For some reason, Pittsburgh. Some of the guys that they
Pittsburgh.
selected, I just kind of scratched my head a little bit. That's all.
I don't think that Pittsburgh has a general. I think it just kind of goes back to Kyle that like they're still not fully accepting the rebuild yet. I think they're just still trying to maybe hope one last push here with Crosby, Malkin, and all of them, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I didn't like how the Flyers traded up to select a guy that they could have drafted at 22 and they gave up 2 assets for. I thought that was I don't know. I thought maybe that was a little bit of an overpay, but I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to ensure you get the guy you want, you're going to have to do stuff like that.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, so you got that, and then those are your winners and losers, and we'll see how they all pan out.
everyone else was just in the middle.
Yeah,
Some people are
exactly.
saying that the Blackhawks had a really bad draft. I don't.
Yeah, yeah, the trade up there late in the first round, I
The
was
trade
kind of
up was a
scratching
choice.
my head. Yeah, so then let's take a look here at Rasmus Andersson now is going to be the next
Yay!
fun topic here. So
Wonderful.
the first thing that came up
Is this
though,
not tampering, by the way? What we're about to hear? I swear, this feels like tampering, or maybe I'm just
well,
going crazy.
so apparently the Kings, thank you again to Flames Nation for putting this out. Kings did attempt to make a trade for him at the draft itself,
Checks out.
but he did not want to go to LA because he didn't want to extend with the Kings. It appears, per Mr. Pierre LeBrun, that he only wants to sign so far, as we know, with Vegas out of all teams. So let me bring this up real quick. And so as of Monday, this was from The Athletic per Pierre LeBrun. The only team that tops his list right now is Vegas, which explains why Vegas and Calgary have had numerous discussions over the past week, but still no trade has been made, as the Flames clearly haven't been excited yet with the Golden Knights, what they put on the table. Makes sense for the Flames to believe that they should get more in a trade if Andersson is signed to an extension, but if it appears a little too picky to where he would sign, it's obviously his right, as he'd be foregoing a chance at unrestricted free agency 12 months from now. And then the other part of it was the fact that is Ottawa, Columbus, and LA were among some of the teams interested. Didn't really materialize to anything. It's not that he must get extended, but there's the valuation of the trade itself that's going to cost it.
Yep.
So there does remain a chance now that he could stay with the team in the next season, at least till the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Because now the problem is he's become very picky with where he wants to go, and with Vegas being the top team. So I'd ask you, Neil, what do you do as Craig Conroy in this situation?
Wait it out. That's what I would do personally. Because here's something to keep in mind, Kyle, which you didn't bring up. Nicholas Hague got traded late last night from Vegas to Nashville. And I get it. They get Jeremy Lauzon back, but like honestly, I'm not impressed. I know why they made that move. I mean, it's fairly obvious why they made that move, but also Alex Pietrangelo will probably not play next season based off of what we're hearing. So let's keep both of that in mind and establish the fact that the Golden Knights do need defensive help. They do. I know that they're going to end up getting Mitch Marner. Let's just call it like it is, people. Like it's going to happen. Whether we want to like it or not, that's just what's going to happen in less than 24 hours from now. But
right.
I don't think the Golden Knights are going to be satisfied with what they have currently on the back end, especially if you don't have Pietrangelo. Now, are there other defensemen out there that the Golden Knights could go after? Absolutely. There's no question. But I don't think there's anybody better available for trade right now than Rasmus Andersson. I know Aaron Ekblad's there, but I think it's highly unlikely that Aaron Ekblad goes to Vegas. I think it's highly unlikely. Just from the standpoint of he'll either stay in Florida and continue to try to win cups, or he'll go get a payday. And I don't see that Vegas making a whole lot of sense on either side for that.
Yep.
But again, it is Vegas, and they usually pull these things out of left field and somehow make it work. But I think that it would be a disservice to the organization's future, if Craig Conroy just makes a trade for the sake of doing it. And he comes out the same way that the Noah Hannafin deal went, as you mentioned before we jumped on, where you get very little to nothing for you're arguably your best defenseman.
Yep.
I just think that that's bad business. And yeah, Rasmus Andersson can be upset all he wants, But I think he also has to be somewhat fair and recognize that it's going to be hard for a deal to work for everybody to be happy.
Right.
That's the thing. And I know that Vegas is probably hoping that Conroy just snaps and just decides to move Rasmus Andersson for less than market value. But I think there are other teams out there that are interested. I mean, the Kings are one of them.
Senators
And
were up there, but he's on Anderson's no trade list. And then the Blue
so,
Jackets, who just signed Dante Fabro.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think it's better to wait. I do. Let's see how free agency rolls a little bit here. Let's see how things play out,
Yeah.
and then maybe we can go back to it. That's me.
So I think it sucks for both sides
Mhm.
because Anderson's kind of shooting himself in the foot here, right?
Oh, by the way,
Like,
breaking news: Aaron Ekblad is staying in Florida, as I just mentioned. So again, so
okay.
now, who is the best defenseman available via free agency or trade?
Now it becomes Rasmus
That
Anderson.
becomes him, the man we're seeing on our screen right now.
That's actually massive.
That is huge because you
Okay.
brought it up last week. You brought it up last week that is really important. That is really important. So
Aaron Ekblad.
I just want to
Okay.
let me just
Wow.
while you talk, I'm just going to confirm this. Let me just get. I'm pretty sure that's what I
I
just
did
saw.
have from Sports Illustrated that I heard that Ekblad was heading to free agency.
Yeah, they all say that.
Yeah. We'll get that news in a minute here. I'll let you look here and I'll finish my point here with Rasmus here.
Yeah, Bob McKenzie of TSN. All signs point to Aaron Ekblad in Florida making progress on a long-term deal.
Yeah.
Assuming it's finalized, would take the veteran defenseman out of free agency.
Okay. Perfect.
How about Bob McKenzie coming out
There
of
you go.
retirement with that one?
Okay. I'll bring that up real quick. And yeah, I'll finish my point afterwards. But this is huge and pertains to it's actually really good timing now that that's happened here. So
Huge.
again,
There you go.
Neil just brought up Bob McKenzie saying that all signs are pointing that Ekblad is
Florida
staying
getting more
long
money.
term to Florida. Wow. So
What do
so
you
let me
think he's getting, by the way? What do you think his contract is?
somewhere in the sevens.
That's what I
I think
thought.
he took a discount. Yeah, I think he's
Which
taken a
is
major
why
discount.
wouldn't you?
So okay, so with
Now it
this
comes back
Ekblad
to him.
news, now all of a sudden Rasmus Anderson is there for the taking, and now teams who are hoping to make room for Ekblad, aka Utah, actually, who got rid of Michelli earlier on today. I think they were trying to go after maybe Ekblad. That would just be me. Regardless of all this, back to my point. It's not great for both parties. So I'll start with Rasmus here. He's got to play with the Flames next year if nothing ends up happening here, right? It's a contract year for him and it's a massive year for him, right? If things don't pan out the way that he thinks it's going to, he potentially might be losing a lot of money here.
Yeah, a
And the
lot.
fact that you're being very picky with this, right? It's in it, and to his credit, it's his right. He can do whatever he wants, right? And if he wants to be that picky, by God to him, right? It's scary to think that he could be losing out on millions of dollars here if something goes bad next season, right? And he's taking that risk, right? Because there could have been, I would have believed that if Anderson had said yes to this LA move, then I think we'd be sitting here today, Anderson being an LA King. And we see the return and we see this massive return that we get back.
Yeah.
It sucks for Conroy because now, two things. I hate dealing with Vegas
Yeah.
because you got reamed out in the last one here. And also now that Nick Hague and Nicholas Waugh are out the door for Vegas.
Well, not officially yet,
Well, he's going to
but
be,
he's
yes.
going to, yes.
I don't like I'm sorry. Like I think if you're Craig and this is the direction that it's gonna go, I think it's Dorfiev is the start of the conversation.
Yes, 100,
It has to be.
1000%, because clearly,
Dorfiev must be the start of the conversation.
right, because essentially, and I think Vegas can look at it this way, right? You're losing Diaforiev and Nicholas Waugh, but in return you're getting Mitch Marner and Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah, I'm
On
one that
paper,
Marner's going to go to Vegas in
yeah,
free agency.
on
That's the way I see
paper,
it.
I think you are okay with that if you're Vegas, because Vegas
Yeah,
doesn't care about the future.
they don't care.
They don't. Diaforiev is a young player that if Marner comes, Diaforiev's role is going to decrease for sure. Like
Sure.
that's the way I personally look at it. But if he comes to Calgary, he's going to get a lot of playing time on a top
S-
six.
And then that's the way it should be, right?
I agree.
I want to bring up more importantly here, I want to bring up Vegas's Puckpedia here.
Can you bring up like their cap? I want to see this nonsense.
So right now, Vegas's current cap is at 2.1. And now here's the thing. It's right now at 2.1. They have to make room for Mitch,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Anderson's not going to be a problem if that's the direction they're going to go. But I really think I would even consider the conversation starting around Ivan Barbashev
Well,
too.
I think they're already looking to try to move him. Are they not?
You could, I mean, it's possible with Barbashev because he's like, I think they probably end up moving Barbashev.
Yeah.
I think that, you got 1 year left with Pavel Dorfiev. He can play both sides, 24-year-old here. I don't even know if the conversation actually begins with Barbashev or Carlson, to be honest.
I think it has to start
I
with
think it has to
Diaforiev.
start with, right, because he's going to be an RFA, right?
Yeah,
I think it has to start, honestly, probably with Dorfiev.
it has to.
And then defensively, Pietrangelo now gone for the year. Shea, Hannafin, McNabb. I don't even know if you include White Cloud, but I just think that if Vegas is going to
Ooh.
make this work, like if you're going to make this work with Rasmus,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've got to, like, I'm sorry, it might cost them 2 roster players. I think
Would
that
you take
has to
Brett
go that way.
Howden?
No,
Not
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 for that term. Not for that
not
term.
for that term.
No,
That's what I
I wouldn't
thought.
take him. Not for that term. No way. I'm even
And
hesitant on
also I
Barbashev.
wouldn't try to help them out by being like, oh, we'll take like Tomas Hertl. No, don't try to help them out.
No,
Don't.
no, you're the one stuck with those contracts, right? We don't necessarily have to take them, despite being cap compliant here.
Yeah.
So I don't even like William Karlsson coming over.
Not even for 2 years. You're not okay with it.
No, because Anderson's going to get longer,
That's
right?
true.
Um,
Diaforiev. I mean, it just makes so much sense.
I think it starts with Barbashev and
And
Dorofeyev.
like, I don't even know who
I
their
really think it
prospect pool
does.
is. Like, I can't even sit here and tell you, like, oh yeah, like I definitely want one of their top prospect because I don't even know who's there right now. Like
It's
their roster doesn't actually make me all that like
because don't forget, like, if Anderson's going to do this, if this is the way it's going to go,
yeah,
and he's going to be that picky, and he's going to say right now it's only Vegas, right?
sick.
It's going to go it should go one of 2 ways here. I think because Vegas does not have, they don't give a you're absolutely right. They don't care about their draft picks. Couldn't
No.
care less,
They
right?
also have proven that they don't care about like loyalty either. So
Loyalty, prospects out the door,
screw
right?
'em, yeah.
If that's the case and you have nothing there, right? Look at what we got back from Hannafin. We got I think it was their first round pick unprotected next
Hmm.
year, right?
Yep.
And Miromanov, right? So, you know, the other thing to consider too is Pietangelo's gone for the year,
Yeah.
right? So their back end's going to be depleted. I don't think it's going to be depleted enough to where Vegas misses the playoffs next year, though, either,
No.
right? But I really think if you're Craig, if you're going to say, you know what, fine, if this is the way it's going to go, I think it starts with Barbashev, and I think it goes along with Pavel Dorfiev,
I think
and
it
it
starts
might
with
continue.
Diorfiev. Honestly, I don't even
I think it
think
does too.
I don't think like Barbashev is fine because he would certainly help out the centerman depth. I think, on the team.
He does have an 8-team no-trade list.
I it wouldn't shock me in the slightest, Kyle, if the Flames were on that list.
It wouldn't shock me either. Yeah,
But
it
like
wouldn't shock me either.
but that's another reason why you start with Diaforia, because he has no limitations. You
Correct.
could easily deal him.
Right.
And just scroll down to their defensive core for a second. I want people to like see this. Like, look how bad it is, right? Because you don't have Petrangelo. Shea Theodore is by far your best defenseman. He's almost 30. Noah Hannafin, I could care less. Braden McNabb, eh. Zach Whitecloud also, and you added Jeremy Lazan. Like,
Yeah.
you need help.
You're essentially, but that's the thing. Like, you're gonna help them by giving them Rasmus. But that's the thing. Like, it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's got to cost them more, right?
100%.
You cannot. It's with the understanding of telling I can't remember the GM of Vegas here.
I don't remember his name either.
Anyway, whatever.
We'll look it up for my own sake.
Pat Brisson, I think.
That might be it.
Whatever. You have to understand, like, Conway has to tell them, like, guys.
Kelly McCrimmon.
Kelly McCrimmon, thank you. He has to tell Kelly here. I don't know. I thought it was right, but anyway.
I think
with
that's
Kelly
here. Oh no, that's an agent.
Whatever.
That's an agent. That's an agent.
Close enough. With Kelly McCrimmon, though, you're right. Like, it has, like, your hands are tied. This is the only place he wants to sign an extension with. Yeah. We don't have to trade him to you. Yeah. If this is how this bullshit way is gonna go, then fess up. Right? Fess up and actually acquire him and extend him for 8 years. And I think for Craig at this point, you've had back-to-back really good drafts, and now you're going to develop with those players
who want to be
prospect pool is fairly deep.
Yep.
Right? I think it's time to, like, fess up for Vegas. You 100%. Need him. But be honest here. Vegas needs Rasmus way more than Calgary has to give them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, and that's the thing. And with Craig, he knows too. Like, you know what? That last deal with Hannafin, I didn't like the way it was. I don't think he's stupid, because he knows that it didn't work out the way that they thought it would with Miramanoff coming back. Right?
They definitely learned from their mistake, I think, from that situation. You would hope, right? And you know what? I would really like to know what the deal was with LA. I would like to know that, because can you use that as a starting point with Vegas? So, like, I don't know what LA was offering, and I couldn't sit here and tell you what I think that they got. My guess is that whatever they were offered, Craig Conroy definitely would have done.
Sure.
If Rasmus was like, "Oh, I'll re-sign in LA." But I don't know. I just
so let's fast forward here now.
I hate dealing with Vegas.
I do too. Trust me. That's why I would avoid it at all costs, right? Because this is who they are. This is all they're going to do. They don't give a shit about picks. They don't care about prospects. They care about winning, because they know they can attract their players at free agency, and they know this year and next year. Don't forget, Jack Eichel's the UFA next year too. So they don't have to deal with Vegas here.
No.
They need Andersson more than anything, right? Yeah. So I think the conversation begins with Dorofeyev.
It's got to start there.
It's got to start there, and I think the next piece would be Barbashev.
It would be good, I think, for the Flames if they can get guys they can throw into their roster right away that can help.
Sure.
Especially offensively. So and doing, like, Barbashev, like I said, it's fine. It's just, I don't want him to be the centerpiece of the deal, is what I'm trying to get at.
He better not be.
Because I would want Craig Conroy fired if that was the case.
But also, too, again, like, he's got this 8-team no-trade list, right? The good news now, though, as of, what was that, 10, 15 minutes ago?
Trade clause. Yep.
Ekblad is now off the market. He's going back to Florida. It now makes Andersson the biggest fish in the sea.
Defensively.
So now it might open it up a bit more, depending on how picky Andersson's going to be here with re-signing with the team, right? So what's more important here, Neil? You trading Andersson, let's just say from now until the end of the offseason here, during the offseason, is it important to deal him with the purposes of him getting an extension,
Hmm.
or you just run the risk of going to trade deadline next year, or you even try to trade him without an extension. I'm kind of more leaning towards him not extending with a team because you still have him for a full year and you can go after maybe a playoff type team. But then the problem becomes is like you're still not going to get a great return, right?
Hmm.
Him being like this really screws the pooch
Yeah.
completely. That's the problem.
Yeah. My answer to that is the opposite.
Okay,
I think
shoot.
you got to do it this at some point this offseason, because the other risk that you take is, and I mean, it's a risk with any player in any sport, is what if we go into the season and Andersson gets hurt?
Sure.
His value plummets, especially if, like, let's say he's out for several months. It's like, well, what are we going to do?
Right.
Um, the other thing is that I know sometimes you can get a really good deal at the deadline. It's just the problem with the deadline is that it is a deadline, is that you're going to be under the gun. Both sides are going to be under the gun to try to get a deal done. And it's going to be about who bites first, right? And what if Anderson doesn't want to go to said team that we try to trade him to?
Right.
Like,
I want
I
to.
think it would be better. You don't have to do it this very second. I'm not saying that. I think it's better. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, doesn't matter when there's only one
I
team.
actually, I could. So Salam here, he's the TSN insider for the Flames
Yeah.
here in Canada.
Yep.
This might have saved them because if Ekblad went to market July 1st tomorrow,
Yeah.
all teams would be after him, and then they would feel like they have to settle
One
with Rasmus. Now you go
one
into free
thousand
agency.
percent.
Now you go into free agency tomorrow, knowing that he is the top guy
Yeah.
on the
The
market,
Florida Panthers might have done the Flames a huge favor,
big time.
which is the least that they could do
Yeah,
for
yeah,
us.
no kidding, right?
Yeah, right. Um, so I think that, yeah, it's gonna really help. And I think that I don't want to say you're gonna get into a bidding war. You might, but
Sure,
again, if Anderson is really only like a one team kind of guy, it does make things difficult,
it does.
because you don't know, because then you're going back and forth on this situation and saying, do we just trade him there because we just want this to be over? Do we
Sure,
hold on to him? The problem also with holding on to him is that, as we've talked about before, these players on the Flames have social media. They do see these things that come up.
yeah,
If Anderson is in the locker room day one of training camp, it is going to be very awkward,
right.
because they're not going to sit there and just pretend like nothing has happened. They're going to look at it and say, well, it's only a matter of time before this dude's out the locker room anyway.
Right. Right.
So you'd rather it get done during the
Well,
off
now with
season.
all of this going on now, you're absolutely right. You cannot have him in the locker room now coming
You
up.
can't.
Totally agree.
It's,
Totally agree. It's a good point.
this is going to be one of Craig Conroy's toughest battles, because he's going to have to walk that fine line of staying patient, but also not putting himself into a corner.
I believe that they would have pulled the trigger with the Kings during the
Yes.
draft. They definitely
Yes.
would have pulled the trigger for sure because the Kings also knew that Jordan Spence was going out the door. And they've been trying to get Gavrikov back now that he's going into free
I
agency.
think Gavrikov is also out the door
I
personally.
I think he is too.
He's going
So
to get massively overpaid by somebody.
yeah, I mean,
I think the Rangers are going to. I think it's
it's
going
a
to be the Rangers.
very go ahead.
I think it's going to be the Rangers that overpay him.
Yeah, that wouldn't
Personally,
surprise me. That
it
wouldn't
just
surprise
seems
me.
like a fit.
It's a very even with Ekblad signing, it's still a very difficult conversation,
It is
right?
incredibly difficult
It's tough.
conversation.
It's absolutely tough.
Yeah,
So I
I hate
think
this.
the perspective changes though with the fact that I don't like the fact the Flames have to get any draft picks back because you had a really good draft from what sources have said these last 2 years, right? You've got a somewhat decently deep prospect pool, right?
Hmm.
And I'm kind of curious when this is all said and done. I really want to listen to Craig and like wondering when these conversations began, right? What type of big roster player are you looking for truly? We've heard it all
Hmm.
the time now with that age gap in the center position being 21 to 24, right? Well, now the market for that's going so much smaller because Anderson's starting to become so much more pickier.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it does make his job that much more difficult. And the problem is that it sucks because it's all on Anderson has all of his rights. He doesn't have like that's the thing. He's still a Flame for the next year.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not and the funny thing is it's like it's a weird way of looking at it, but Rasmus has a 16 no trade list, but it feels like there's so much more because of the extension here in process.
hmm,
That's the difficult part about all of this.
yeah,
So listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but if it sounds like Vegas is going to make another run at him, then it has to start with a big roster piece because you know he's going to
for
extend
sure.
there, right?
Yeah,
And you have to look at his face just like Hannafin for the next 8 flipping years. That's the other thing too. You have
yep.
to look at him, right? One last thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm kind of curious about this
Hmm.
because now it's making me think. Because Vegas is batshit crazy, right?
Vegas is nuts. They do nutty things.
What if in this particular deal that involves Rasmus, right? What if the Flames aren't sellers? What if they look at Vegas as a buyer,
Yeah.
right? We just looked at that list on Puckpedia. Jack Eichel's a free agent 1 year from now.
Hmm.
Again, modified trade clause. I don't know what it looks like here. Jack Eichel does have a no movement clause. So he cannot be traded, all that stuff. Same thing with Mark Stone, right?
Sure.
Eichel would probably have to waive that, right? Like
Would
more
probably
than
say so.
more
Yes.
than likely would have to waive it.
Yes.
So guys have done it before. You can almost look at it and flip it in the sense that this team could be buyers,
It
right?
could.
You are dangling Vegas's first round pick next year too. Who's to
Sure.
say they wouldn't go out there now with all of this happening, right? It's not a great seller's market anymore. But maybe instead you go with the mindset of we want to go out and buy that younger centerpiece we're looking for here in the second line. And it begins with Andersson and even potentially that unprotected first round pick next year for Vegas or something in
Yeah.
that realm.
Yeah.
That's the other way you could look at it. It
You
doesn't
could
have
spin
to
it that way.
necessarily be a seller, right?
No,
Is that like is that crazy to say?
I don't think it's crazy. I think it all just depends on how they value that pick and what they project things to be over the next 2 or 3 years. I think what's important to keep in mind is that with the Anderson situation, as I mentioned before, you don't want to look like you're desperate to move the guy. You want to be firm with it and say that we'll move him, but you're going to have to pay up. Because if you're looking to acquire him and he'll extend with you guys, then the value of a deal for him just increased because you're not getting a rental. You're getting somebody that's going to be in your foxhole for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons after this time he gets moved.
You got it.
Look at like I don't think that I don't think that Vegas would have gotten as much if they traded Nicholas Hague and he didn't sign that extension right away with
Right.
Nashville.
Right.
But they did, and they got Colton Sissons and also Jeremy Lazon. which I mean is not saying a whole lot, but still, that's my point. My point is that an extension with the trade just increases the value. Why do you think Toronto was trying to do a sign and trade by sending Marner to Vegas? Because they know that they could probably get something decent. I don't know what they're going to get other than Nicholas Waugh.
Right.
I mean, got to be something, right? Got to
Maybe
be.
that conversation starts with Dorfiev too.
Maybe that conversation is. And the question is, if you're the Flames, do you let it play out? Because tomorrow it's going to happen.
With Vegas, yeah, you
Maybe.
let it play out. Let it play out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it play out. Because Vegas is
Because
the one that wants Rasmus, and they don't have to trade him there. And we know that
right,
it's
they
good
don't
deal
have
in
to.
the past.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do so. You already know, like, you're already going in with the underhand, right? At this point, I would rather the Flames look at it as a buyer situation almost, right? Because
Sure.
now it's like, all right, well, the seller's market's not going to be that great here, and maybe the return on him is not going to be that high. But
Right.
maybe we can look at it in a different light here and treat it like we want to go after somebody else, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be a fascinating 24 hours to
Yeah.
watch because it's going to change the dynamic of this team moving forward.
For
Also,
sure.
too, I do have breaking news for the Flames. Not massive, but still some breaking news here. From West Gilbertson, the Flames have qualified 6 RFAs here, including Morgan Frost, Rory Kearns, Jan Kuznetsov, Sam Morton, Jeremy Poirier, and Connor Zary. Not qualified were Walterier, Ignatiu, I think,
Yep.
and Connor Murphy.
Yep. Fair enough.
So they've qualified for them. I would imagine that Morgan Frost probably rejects it. Probably waiting for a team maybe to match, like to probably go out there and get an RFA offer for him.
Right.
From what I've heard, they're working on a bridge deal right now with Connor Zary here for a 2-3 year deal. Do you like that 2-3 years for Zary?
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
that's fair considering what how he played this year and everything like that. I think it's good. It's a kind of it's a little bit of a prove it deal, but it also gives him some security as well.
right.
So
8 years, $6.1 million for Aaron Ekblad.
damn, that's a discount and a half.
6.1 team friendly deal for the next 8 years.
Oh God. Okay. Damn.
Wow.
Bill,
Wow.
Bill
Wow.
Zito is something else, man. He
Wow.
really is. He really is. I
That is
mean,
unbelievable.
now I'm waiting for here's where I'm at, right? So we saw Sam Bennett right before the draft sign under the market value.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
6.1.
If it was under 6, I really would have thrown up. But I look at
That is
here's the thing.
friggin' crazy.
Can I
Why would
just
he leave?
yeah, yeah
Go ahead, though. Yeah.
and here's the thing I'll just say. I'll simplify it for everybody. This man is making money hand over fist anyway. $6.1 million will allow him to live very comfortably for the rest of his life. This guy was a first round pick of this Panther team years ago and has helped them win 2 Stanley Cups. You don't think he cares about his legacy? That tells you all you need to know right there. That tells you all you need to know. And no
This,
one
this
cares
team not.
that contract is 8 years. Not a damn person, especially with the salary cap going up, no one cares.
Oh my God, with the cap going up, this is going to be like a $4 million contract.
He'll be like a $4 million player in like 3 years.
Oh my God.
It's that much worse.
Holy shit. So Brad could stay there. I think they're trying to make it work. The way that tells me is I think they're going to try and get Brad back.
I saw the rumor. I don't know if you saw it today that like the Leafs are prepared to give him short of 9. And I got to be honest with you, Kyle. I really hope that happens.
Oh my God, that'd be so good.
I don't even care. Like, oh, the salary cap's going up. $9 million is still $9 million per
Yeah, but
year.
your window is now for the Leafs. Your window is right now.
Right. And the question becomes for Marcia, and the only other team I'd like to see him go, like, I wouldn't mind him going back to Florida. I just think it just works out for him very well with where he is.
Right.
I'd love to see him re-sign in Boston. I'd love to see
I
what
don't
would
know.
happen there.
I can't see that he would.
I
I
I
don't
mean,
see it.
granted, with the way that it went down, it just feels like that's like there's a point of no return with that. Also, I don't
Right.
really know, Kyle, where Boston is going at this point.
I don't know either, man.
Also, I saw the
Thinking
rumor
long
about
term.
the Panthers wanting to try to make a trade for David Pasternak, and I think I wanted to throw up. And I loved it. Oh, who was it? Someone said it. Someone said it. The guy who used to be on 32
Wow.
Thoughts. That's Jeff Merrick. Merrick
Merrick.
said,
Merrick.
"Yeah, so
Merrick.
does
Yeah.
31 other NHL teams want David Pasternak."
Also, to what we forgot to mention, um, Elliot Freeman mentioned this morning on Chicklets is that Vegas is not going to be done trying for Rasmus.
Good. Good. Come back to the table with a better offer, and maybe we'll get something. Maybe we'll get somewhere. I guarantee you, Kyle, as I'm sitting here, I guarantee you that one of the players involved in the first deal was Tomas Hertl. I guarantee you he was part of that.
I
I
would hate it.
guarantee you.
I would hate it.
Because they're trying to move
Get rid of
him
bad contracts in order to
and
sign
or
more.
Barbashev. Well, guess what? You signed him to that deal. That's
Correct.
your fault. And this isn't the Rangers where they can just go to Anaheim every 2 minutes and be like, can you take on our terrible contract for literally nothing? Although I wouldn't put it past the Ducks if they considered it.
Correct.
Wouldn't put it
So,
past.
last thing we're going to do is with all the signings that have happened today, we're going to play a quick game with you, Neil. Okay.
Nice.
I've got so far the bigger, more important list of guys who signed today
Yep.
/ were traded. Okay.
Yep.
For the team acquiring / signing / re-signing the player,
Mm-hmm.
all you're going to say is it going to be good or bad
Okay.
from the team's perspective.
Simple.
Okay.
Simple. I need
So
that.
first up is Tarasenko to the Wild.
Am I saying good or bad for just
For
the what?
for the team itself. Yeah,
For the
like
team that acquires
the
said
Wild.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, because future considerations never gets the full opportunity that he deserves
Yes.
with anybody. Bad,
Ooh.
bad.
Okay.
Because I think Brock Besser would have cost less long term.
Right.
It clearly seemed like Besser wanted to go to Minnesota. Now I think that's out the door because of the Tarasenko contract. Yeah, I mean,
Just bad.
I just think I don't think it's going to help.
Really quick here
Minnesota.
too, by the way, some sort of breaking news as well too. Gavin McKenna is going to be playing for Penn State University next year. He's going out of the WHL. So
So
another
whack that he goes to Penn State.
NCAA project. Okay. Next up, let's start here. Bruins getting Yokiharu, Beecher, and I'm also going to throw in Morgan Geeky too to that 6-year contract.
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good business. I mean, you're keeping that depth that you've had. I like the Geeky contract a lot, honestly. I think he's earned it. I think it's similar to what Kevin Ball got essentially. It's a little bit more, like a tiny bit more.
Yeah, just a touch more. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The Leafs re-signing Matthew Nyes to a 6-year, $46.5 million extension.
Yeah, that's really good considering
really good.
what his market value would have been. Matthew Nyes wanted to stay a Leaf. Truth,
Yeah.
like he didn't want to go anywhere. He was going to take less money to stay for sure.
Correct. You got it.
And you know what? He's still incredibly young. In 6 years, he can make a lot more money.
Predators acquire Nick Hague and sign him to a 4-year, $22 million deal.
What the? Excuse my language, but what the fuck are the Predators doing with
hate it.
anything? Are they
I hate
trying to be ass?
I hate it.
Because you acquired Eric Halla, the full amount of the last year of his deal. You have awful contracts with Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and then you acquire Nick Hague, which isn't like awful, but then you sign him to a 4-year deal. What are they? What is Trotz trying to do? I think this is very bad.
Pretty bad.
I don't see any good coming out of that.
I got 3 more here for you.
Sure.
Senators re-sign Claude Giroux to a 1-year deal at $4.75.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
I think 1 year. I think that's what you're going to see from Giroux the rest of his career because he's getting up there in age.
Yep.
But I think also he fits in really well in Ottawa, and the Senators are a fun team, and I think he
Yeah.
helps them continue to be that moving forward. So I like it.
Cool.
Also, I like the contract that Fabian Zetterlund got a
And
little while
Sutherland
back.
too. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Ducks re-signed Ville Husso to a 2-year deal
While considering that John Gibson's out the door.
with Gibson out
Yeah,
the door.
no,
Yeah.
it's good. No, I'm cool with it. Yeah, no, I like it.
And the last one here, Mr. Dante Fabro, 4-year deal at 16.5 mil to the Blue Jackets.
It's so good.
Sweet.
It's so good. I mean, the Blue Jackets are primed to make a big move, and I hope to God they do. I don't know what it is, but I hope they. I hope that Nikolai Ehlers signs in Columbus. What?
Ooh, so interesting here.
What does it
Okay,
involve? Does it
it
involve the
involves
Flames?
the Flames.
Oh God.
Pat Steinberg. It's cool. Actually, this
Okay.
is
Okay.
cool.
Oh, sick.
Pat Steinberg has reported that Brent Seabrook is going to be joining the Flames player development staff.
Oh, neat.
Our young players will benefit from his years and experience in the NHL and his championship pedigree. So
What's
Brent
the connection
Seabrook,
there?
I don't know. I think he's from Western Canada. I think he's a Canadian boy. I believe
Is
he's
his
from.
contract finally done?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot when his contract was.
I think so.
Who had it at the end? Was it Tampa? Right? I think Tampa had it.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. So anyway, there you go. So yeah, Brent
Nice.
Seabrook's gonna be joining the staff. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Really cool.
So my question to you, Kyle, is do you want to make a few quick predictions for free agency, or you want to just
We can.
okay.
Yeah, we can if you want.
Okay.
We'll take a look at the top. We'll do this as the last part of it here. I'm also going to include Rasmus Andersson in this conversation,
Sure.
just because we want to take our best swing at where he's going to end up. Not the when, but I
Yeah,
just want to
Buffalo.
know where. Yeah, fuck you. Get sent to Buffalo.
Yeah, just send him to Buffalo.
Go away.
Or
Okay.
Tage Thompson.
So let's do. I'm just looking at the UFAs here. We'll just look at the top 10. Okay.
Yep.
And it starts with Mitch Marner.
Vegas.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
boring
think he ends
now.
up in
He's
Vegas.
going to Vegas. He's been apparently he's been talking to Vegas for a year now.
I'm gonna also jump on that boat, and I think it's going to be Vegas. I agree.
Did
He's
you
gonna play
hear
alongside
what
Eichel.
the speculation is about why a sign and trade became a thing?
No, why?
Is because essentially if the Leafs are prepared to file tampering against Vegas because apparently this has been going on for a year.
Okay.
And so the compromise is if they can do a sign and trade and it goes through, then the
All
Leafs
hell.
won't do anything about it and they'll just let it happen. But
Right.
if it doesn't happen and Mitch just goes to Vegas free of charge, then the Leafs are going to go after Vegas and they're going to apparently go after them hard.
Right.
Which I think for once I would be on the Leafs side of doing something because I think that's fair for them to, try to look at it that way.
So I'll join the Vegas boat there. Brad. Marchand
Florida.
himself. Florida. Yeah, I'm gonna say Florida too. I think I think with that Ekblad signing now at 6.1,
Yeah.
I think I would agree.
Yep.
Nikolai Ehlers.
Carolina.
I was gonna say the same thing. Carolina.
This is not go okay.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So this is where it starts.
Aaron
Gavrikov.
Ekblad. I'm going to guess Florida.
Yeah. Right.
This is my guess.
Vladislav Gavrikov.
Rangers.
Devils.
You sick? What?
I don't know.
What?
Why not? They need a little
Have
bit of
you
help.
not looked at the Devils' defense? Why would they don't need another defenseman?
Okay, here. Let me.
I
didn't put a lot.
Now.
I didn't put a lot of thought into that.
You
actually.
didn't clearly.
No, I mean, it was just a random. I was kind of thinking around the metro area.
You
Philly.
picked the Rangers.
Philly.
Sick.
Philly.
Yeah.
Brock Besser.
Oh, I'm gonna say Devils. Actually, I think the Devils want a top 6 guy, and I think that might be the guy they go after.
Minnesota.
Still, okay.
I still
fair.
think Minnesota. I still think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Tarasenko will play bottom 6 because he's up there now.
Yep.
I like Besser there. Granlund,
Dallas.
St. Louis.
Nice.
Kane.
I have a toss-up.
Okay.
Detroit or the Rangers?
I have Detroit.
Yeah, it sounds like that it's going to happen.
I think so too.
Yep.
Provorov. What does he want?
Utah.
He wants a 7x7.
Utah.
I like that Utah one too.
Utah.
Ducks.
Well, they couldn't get Ekblad.
I'll go Ducks.
Okay.
Orlov. Short-term
KHL.
deal, a lot of money. KHL.
No, I don't know. Like the problem is that he had such a rough playoff that I'm.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to change Provorov. LA.
LA. Okay.
And then Orlov.
I'll go with Orlov to LA.
You're going to go Orlov LA?
Yep. They're going to get somebody with an Ov in their last name.
I could see Orlov actually in Utah because he's not going to have close to the top there, right? Because you already have Sergachev there.
Why is Jonathan Drouin projected to make 5.9 over 4?
Where do you think he's going to go?
Damn.
I think he stays in Colorado.
Yeah. I'm going to say Colorado.
And for fun, one more here, Jake Allen.
Well, considering what I'm hearing today about negotiations with the Devils are ongoing, I'm gonna say Devils, and I'm gonna say that projection right there. I think it's gonna be 2 years at 3.5, because even though he'll probably get more on the market, I don't think he wants to necessarily go. I don't think he wants to go on the market. I think he would prefer to stay in New Jersey. I think he likes playing with this team. I think he likes playing with Markstrom. They seem to be really good together. So I'm going to say Devils on that one.
I would imagine that it's some I can see him going back to New Jersey too. Now that you're putting it that way for 2 years at 3.5.
Don't help out. Don't help out Edmonton. Let them figure it out on their own. Let them figure out what they're going to do in the goaltending.
I could see Jake Allen in a Calgary uniform.
Perhaps.
He's the best backup out there, and I don't think the Flames need to go. I don't think the Flames need to do much in terms of getting any major free agents this offseason outside of maybe if you want to help with the left defenseman spot. I think they go after Jake Allen for 2 years.
Would you pay him over $5 million though?
If it's if we're looking at like a per year 2.5 million AAV, yeah, I would do that for sure.
Okay,
fair. I would do it easy. I would easily do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you got a backup goaltending situation.
Dan, I think
saved.
I have this thought that I think if Jake Allen were to go to free agency and sign somewhere other than New Jersey, I think Dan Vladar ends up signing in New Jersey. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is there is mutual interest potentially between the two because Vladar would like to play with Markstrom again.
Right.
Because apparently they were really close. And I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't be fully against it, but comparatively to Jake Allen, I would be like, not wild, but he would cost less.
Yeah. Last news that I have for you on this show, Jacob Pelletier has not been qualified and is going to go into free agency as a UFA.
Damn.
So there's a possibility there could be a reunion back in Calgary. It's possible. Possible they bring him back. So,
I forgot.
All right.
Wow. Is Manko a UFA or an RFA?
I believe he's a UFA.
UFA.
Yeah, he's going to hit the open market. I believe I heard the Jets at one point for Kuzmenko. That's what I heard. Yeah. So we're probably going to know here in the next, my guess, 24 hours here is the way that this is projecting. Could be longer, who knows? But for now, that's going to do it for us. Good stuff as always. And again, next Monday is going to be our last live one with the reaction of everything that kind of went down. And then we head into the glorious summer that is.
Tomorrow's going to suck.
It's going to be great.
The free agency sucks.
Starting right now, essentially.
Yeah,
it's starting now.
Well, with so many guys getting signed now.
Yeah.
What's going to happen tomorrow? Nothing.
Probably not.
I bet you Martyr doesn't even sign tomorrow.
No, he will. If anything, it's official tonight.
Fair.
if anything, it'll be official
What a
tonight
loser.
for it. Yeah, I know
What a loser.
everything sucks about it. All right, yeah. But also too, we'll keep an eye on it, and if we're able to go live, if Andersson for some reason gets dealt, we'll be there. But until then, we'll see y'all next Monday. Have a great Canada Day for everybody. Have a great July 4th. Great Memorial Day coming up, and hope the start to the summer is good for the rest of us.
Later, guys.